Hey guys, welcome back to another Vendo podcast episode. Super excited about this one. With me today, I have one of our senior strategic account managers, Vinicio Alvarez, or as I like to affectionately call him, Mr. Worldwide. Vinny, how you doing today?
Oh, good, Darren. Nice to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
Um, Super excited to just start dropping some knowledge here.
I love it. I love it. And as we talked about before we start recording, your background game is strong today, my friend. You got that virtual. I'd say you got the best virtual background we've seen so far on any of the podcasts. So very excited for the team to share. That's the kind of detail and pride and authorship that Vinny takes in his work, even putting it into his virtual background. So big kudos to you, buddy, for doing that. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about kind of the initiatives globally and what we're doing and what you're doing to help drive that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had to, take a bit of some time and develop this background given the theme that we're covering today.
Yeah.
So, Paris, of course.
Hey,
Uh,
sidebar. Have you ever been to Paris? Have you
no,
ever?
I have not. I have not. I want to, but hey, that gives me a little bit motivation to, that background to really, maybe do that next year.
All right, Vendo Paris office coming soon. Brought to you by Vinny. Right.
There you go. Well, thanks, Darren. I've been at Vendo close to 2 years now. I've had over 10 years of e-commerce experience. At Vendo, I've managed a portfolio from mid to large scale brands. We're talking about 7 to 8 figure accounts. So it's really great to know that when brands have reached perhaps a good middle ground in the States domestically, they're always thinking about incremental revenue and different opportunities, and international has posed itself to be a great a great opportunity for all these brands that we've launched at Vendo. So it's always nice to see how Amazon is always pushing the lines internationally, and for us to participate in those different marketplaces, especially new marketplaces coming into the realm of the whole entire Amazon selling globally. It's really impressive. So at Vendo, what we've done is definitely set a structure and a process for us to successfully participate in those marketplaces. So what I'll do today is definitely talk about that and walk you through a few tips and really what we're looking at from a very high level perspective. I think it's going to be more, it'll take definitely more than one podcast to cover the whole entire
Oh
strategy,
yeah,
but
oh yeah. We're talking about the
yeah.
whole world. We're gonna cover the whole world.
There you
So,
go. But
but
this is just an overview. Super excited, and by all means, let's it's more of a discussion as opposed to really just a presentation that I'm gonna present to you guys shortly.
awesome. And just to clarify, for this specific international presentation, we're gonna focus more on the EU, but Vinny will give you some broad strokes on some of the other marketplaces that we'll be talking about as he changes up his virtual background on each episode as we travel the world together globally. So
There
with
you
that,
go.
Vinny, if you want to start your screen share there, if you want to share some of the slides.
Yeah, absolutely. So selling internationally with Amazon Global Selling. So on the screen, you'll see 4 steps to how to succeed at selling globally. Again, these outlines were developed and pretty much outlined by Amazon. And the nice thing about what Amazon does is they preliminary provide a lot of the baseline for sellers to really start building out successful storefront, right? And what we do at Vando is we follow those baselines and we go up, above that, obviously. But it's really good for anyone that's starting to sell on Amazon. If we look at these 4 easy steps, it's really good for us to really understand the basics and also quickly how to, if I want to have incremental revenue in different marketplaces, these are the 4 different foundational elements that I need in order for us to succeed. So the way I see it is, first is decide where and what to sell. And we're going to dive into that in a little bit. Register and list your products, ship and fulfill, and manage your business internationally.
And I know you're going to cover each of these moving forward. Just for our audience, when you say decide where and what to sell, part of that includes sourcing, which again will be a whole nother topic of conversation. So we want to level set expectations. Hey, we're going to cover the broad strokes here, but Vinny and I are happy to dig into more details on future episodes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually we like to, for those sellers or for those brands that are just getting into those marketplaces is better for us to just outline what it's going to take into launching successfully. And then we get into the specific of strategy and then building out incremental revenue and then advertising. So there's definitely more of a build out to that. But as long as we understand the foundation, I think that would be a good starting point. Great. So topic number one is like really decide where and what to sell. So the nice thing about Vendo and what we do in Vendo is that we already have data points, and a lot of data that we have domestically can really be captured so that we learn what's going to be successful internationally, right? So we're looking at our hero SKUs, we're looking at impressions, we're looking at purchase data, we're looking at revenue, we're looking at all these conversion factors that is really going to allow us to really fundamentally build out a strategy for our partners right away. So, but if if you're just launched your marketplace in the States, I would highly suggest, run for a few months, understand how your customer is shopping, because obviously Amazon is consumer first, and internationally it doesn't change that, right? Internationally, Amazon's marketplaces are always going to be consumer first. So if we're able to understand how our customers are converting and what content is really generating that click-through, then the same logic can apply internationally. And as we see, Amazon has different marketplaces. We have Europe, we have Middle Eastern, we have Japan, which is another growing marketplace, Singapore, Brazil, Australia, Turkey. A few that didn't make it in the slide were Mexico, Canada, but that's all considered the Americas, right?
Right.
And the nice thing about that is that within all these different marketplaces, it's fairly easy to set up. Amazon outlines all of that documentation on their website. So if you were to type in Amazon Global Selling on Google search, you will be able to see the landing page where all this information is pretty much captured. All we're doing here is really telling you what Amazon is telling you, or is telling us as sellers, what is it that they want you to do as far as a baseline.
Well, a couple of call outs on here. So one, India is another big marketplace that we have partnerships in. So excited about that. And then something that our listeners may or may not be aware of based on the recent headlines, given the COVID-19 crisis, Australia, which has traditionally been a typically slow market to adapt to online commerce because of shipping, logistics, the size of the country. Interestingly enough, they have now had to adapt to online or e-commerce shopping faster than most. So that could be an interesting market to look at right now for a lot of sellers, as it's probably going to explode over the next, call it 6 to 12 months, with more of their customers, or excuse me, population adapting to online e-commerce. So a couple of call outs there. And then lastly, what we found very helpful is, and a lot of listeners might be surprised by, you can actually get help directly from Amazon through their account management program for free with a lot of these marketplaces. So as an example, Vinny and I get hit up all the time by the Middle East reps. That's a newer market that they've launched there. And they're always asking, hey, we can help do anything for you there, promotions, discounts, listing creation. Same thing with Japan. And as I mentioned earlier, Australia. Those three marketplaces have reached out to us numerous times. And then EU that we're going to cover today, we actually do have an account manager we work with there who helps with translations, listing, transfer, brand registry, etc. So just a helpful tip. If you think it's complicated, you don't know how to set up, and taxes and VAT, definitely reach out to Amazon and they'll put a representative your way to help you get selling up in those marketplaces quickly.
No, absolutely. And in fact, they're able to answer, if not most of your questions, but I've always found, the online community to also solve a lot of those questions for us, because there's a lot of sellers already selling internationally. So you might stumble upon the same issues that others have seen. And when there's data out there that's helpful, you can definitely optimize, and figure out how to be successful using those resources. Now, as far as what to sell on different international places, you got to definitely look at the categories that you want to sell into, because each category is going to have its own restrictions. So we got to make sure that as you start building out that strategy and your plans for launching internationally, definitely take a deep dive. If, for instance, if you're selling baby products, and it requires a different outlet, you got to make sure that those outlet requirements do meet EU requirements, right? It's not the same as what we have here in the States. So
Well,
just an important note there.
Yeah, no, sorry, Vinny, on that point, Helium 10 or Jungle Scout, I believe, Some of those software programs are now integrating international marketplaces for keyword research and even their black box or the different features that they have in their programs to identify what to sell or what's trending. So look to some of those third-party programs for ideas as well, and to discover trends and niches to sell in as well when you're going down that path.
Yeah, those tools now have the ability to change language right away on their back end, so
Right.
it's super easy to do as a seller. So definitely recommend those tools.
And then insert shameless plug here. If you need help, reach out to Mr. Worldwide over here. That's the whole purpose.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Darren.
Yeah.
Going to 1.1 launching in EU. So I wanted to sort of use this as an example, right? So what would it take? What is that checklist that we're looking at when we're launching into a marketplace similar to the EU? So there's different things, and Amazon considers this the very first 5 basics of your checklist. So first, learn about the different marketplaces. If we take EU as an example, we know that they have 5 different marketplaces all within the EU. They have the UK, they have France, they have Germany, they have Italy, and they have Spain, right? So all those different marketplaces will have different customers that are going to have different consumer behaving actions. So it's important for you to know as you launch a product, where is it that you're going to have a great success. At first, you might not know, but it could be that you do a test before you fully launched in order for you to fully capitalize, let's say a month or 2 into the launching of that marketplace. But it's really good to get that preliminary data so that you can understand your growth, right? And a lot of it is supported by advertising. So if you were to bundle that with if you're fully optimized and then you are able to launch ads, you'll be able to capture a lot of data right away where you can easily make decisions whether you want to expand or not. And you could do that within the first 30 days of you launching internationally.
So just taking a pause between each one of these points here. First off, on the EU side, I believe recently Turkey, Czech, or Poland that they've added to the EU marketplaces. You can't access them directly, but they're a part of now where Amazon's delivering or selling. So I just want to point that out. And then from your perspective, Vinny, the largest of these marketplaces or the biggest opportunities, where would you direct our audience to?
So if we were looking specifically at EU, I would say definitely the UK and Germany being the 2 biggest marketplaces there.
Yep, absolutely. I think I read somewhere that at one point Germany's marketplace was just as big as all of what Walmart.com was doing at one time, but I don't know if that still holds true today. Just to give people scale.
No, absolutely. And Germany seems to be also the up and coming marketplace and outbeating UK. So that's something to also watch out for.
Definitely.
Cool. So step number 2 would be, as you have already set your eyes on the marketplace, okay, let's check out the categories. How is it that my product is going to fit within that category, within that marketplace? Definitely looking at the competitor space. Are other competitors that are, that launched domestically, are they now in the UK? If so, that market does fit the need in terms of your product, in terms of demand. So it's easily, quickly going into .co.uk, amazon.co.uk, and putting on your, listing, searching your brand name perhaps, and seeing what other competitors come, or searching your product category, your product type on the search engine and seeing what those results are. Really quick to do, and it'll take less than 10 minutes to really understand the competitor landscape. And if you have other tools like Helium 10, it allows you to see their ranking, to see how many units they've sold daily, and really get a good idea of how competitive the landscape is. Now we move into point number 3 is understanding how VAT works. VAT is value added tax. So in the States we have at purchase, you get tax for every purchase, right? At the end of checkout. Now in the UK, it works similar. It's a similar structure, although it needs to be, as a seller, you need to apply for different VAT capabilities within each marketplace. Now, Amazon makes it really easy for you to do this, because they have within their network of services, you're able to vet and also negotiate and talk with different services that allow to do all this administrative and all these accounting features that happen on the back end, so that you can pay more attention on selling more. And these other services definitely allow you to do, and they do all the filing, they do all the back end paperwork. And maybe Darren, you can talk to, you spoke with Avast, which is one of their, one of Amazon's preferred services. Maybe give us a little bit of insight what happened with that conversation,
Sure.
and how is it that they work internationally?
Well, so VAT, which is value added tax, is necessary if you want to be part of their Pan EU program to fulfill across all of Europe, where you can access all of the prime eligible customers with 2-day shipping, as opposed to just the singular market where you could just ship it, let's say, to Amazon UK FBA, and then they fulfill it to all the other countries from there, which doesn't necessarily get there in 2 days. So the Pan EU program and VAT, very important parts to be successful in the EU on Amazon. As Vinny mentioned, Avask is one of the many service providers that help you with all the filing and registration requirements in each country. Right now, I think they're offering some sort of promotion or discount if you sign up and work with your Amazon EU account manager. It can be very helpful. You can always refer to your Seller Central account and the service provider section and find any number of other providers to help with VAT filing and registration. But very important to get that to help access the Pan EU program.
No, absolutely. And we definitely recommend that to get that number 3 item checked off right away so that you can pay more attention on the state of your account and selling more, as opposed to this, the details of really registering and having to deal with that later, as opposed to, just getting it off your plate right away. Moving to point 4, which is FBA versus FBM. It's really nice because now internationally we're able to see the capabilities of fulfillment in both, right? In both in FBA and FBM. So it's really nice that Amazon has the ability to do both at scale. And also we have the ability to do FBM internationally for our brand partners. It's a really good turnkey solution because obviously our brands or our clients won't be able to have warehouses internationally. Therefore, we provide that service. So if you are capable of again, finding, if you have a ton of inventory that you want to ship over and you don't want to ship everything to FBA right away, again, Amazon provides with a list of network solutions that you're able to really call them and negotiate and figure out a good rate in order for you to move your goods over to their warehouse before shipping to FBA. So definitely look out for that, for those type of for that type of information that Amazon is putting out there to make the life of the seller a lot easier.
Yeah, they also came out with a new program for, I think, specifically Mexico and Canada to do FBM direct. I know you, myself, and another colleague spoke with them. Then they put that on pause after the whole COVID-19 crisis hit. But Amazon is trying to be more user-friendly and come up with better solutions to help lower the barrier to entry to ship, at least to our closest international partners, being Mexico and Canada. I forget the acronym for the program, but I think they'll probably re-enable that after COVID-19 dies down.
Yeah, we don't want to give out too many secrets here, Darren. Let's wait for another video before we touch on that.
Listen, we'll drop all the knowledge we want, buddy. It's up to everybody to execute. That's where Vendo does it better than anyone.
So the last point here before we dive into the other slides is really understanding your international fulfillment requirements. Obviously, Amazon has a very strict in terms of how things are being shipped to their FBA warehouses. They have very strict rules, so make sure you follow up on that. And also understanding really import-export regulations. The nice thing about Vendo is that we're familiar with all those regulations, so we understand also the cost of shipping. So by all means, we're able to explore margins before we even recommend launching a product internationally to our clients. So the nice thing is that we do all this preliminary work so that our clients understand really the return on investment, right? Because it is an investment that you're initially doing at first. And as you get that flywheel effect going, you'll start seeing more revenue. It'll definitely pay off, but understanding those foundational elements will definitely help you be more prepared and start checking off all these different 5, foundational elements here in terms of launching and selling internationally.
Awesome.
Cool. So let me touch up a little bit more on registering and listing your products. So this is for me as a seller, this is very easy for us to do because when we already have domestic listings already set up in the States, Amazon has made it infrastructurally through their Seller Central account super easy for us to just copy and paste essentially over our listings over to the different marketplaces internationally. Obviously, there's a lot of translations, a lot of translation work that needs to happen in order for you to make sure that customer behavior or customer experience is well received for those consumers out internationally. But the fact that the bare framework of your listing can be set up right away in a matter of seconds, perhaps, or it will definitely take a little bit of work, but it won't take that long. It's really exciting for us to really promote the international marketplace to our current brand partners. It's just a very turnkey solution, super fast for us to do it. And the nice thing is that if there is a roadblock within the launch of a listing, we have account managers that we can reach out within Amazon that definitely can provide an answer if in a matter of hours. So they're pretty active. They want sellers to sell more internationally. Amazon's always promoting their marketplaces, because what Amazon's seeing is that the behavior, as far as the consumer behavior, is also adapting to these brands that are coming in from the States, right? A lot of consumers are becoming more familiar, and a lot of that social media allows you to really promote your product, not only domestically, but worldwide, right?
Yeah.
So understanding that and having the capability of launching right away is definitely a huge, huge plus.
Yeah, one thing they help, which is a big component, especially when you're going into foreign language markets, from English, that is translations. And it's not just translations, but even if you're in a similar English-speaking market, like the United Kingdom versus the United States, there are certain words that are different that mean the same thing. So it's very important to focus on optimizing your listings when they go live in those different marketplaces. Even though Amazon will help you transfer a lot of your listings and content and everything over, don't just assume that that content will perform or be optimized the same way that it needs to be geared towards a foreign market or a foreign language speaker. So something to just point out there. And then if you're looking for translations, there are, again, I keep referring back to the service provider page on Amazon, but obviously you can go on Fiverr or Upwork or any one of those sites and find somebody to help you do some basic translations. I always recommend, hey, get somebody in that marketplace. Try not to use an outsourced agency from another country. Really dive into a local, because they will know better than anybody what words and what keywords and what sub keywords will work very well.
No, absolutely. A few call outs there. Just recently, what I did was I ran an A/B test. And what I did was I did a Google translation infographic. And then I had someone through Upwork do the same translation. And sure enough, the translation that came from someone that knew the language a bit more and was definitely more catered towards that proved to be a lot more relevant than the simple Google translation. So if you're a seller and you're just in the beginning stages, sure, look at Google Translate. Look at what that gives you. But what I'm saying is spend a few more dollars and really get something that is more consumer friendly, more catered towards your audience, because you want to have that click through. You want to be able to have that infographic be relevant to what the consumer is looking for. You want to have that conversion at the end of the day. And if your listings are 100% retail ready and ready to convert, they'll be, Amazon will give you more ranking juice. They'll favor you because you're selling more. So always remember that you want to put infographics and you want to put content that's more relevant to that audience that you're catering for internationally.
Es muy importante, mi amigo. So there you go.
I was actually sitting in a webinar that Amazon put together, and they were talking about Japan being a huge marketplace that it's also growing. And my number one question to them is always title. How are the algorithms within these marketplaces smart enough, and are they growing? Are they mature enough for them to understand that the title being the most important thing on your listing? How is that taken into consideration as far as ranking? Title is always the number one thing. So they're always recommending, go ahead and optimize your title. Go ahead to make sure those keywords are converted correctly for that marketplace.
Yeah, good call out. So Japan, I think it's 108, 110 million people. So, definitely huge market to exploit. And just like you were mentioning earlier, deciding what to sell there is just as important as deciding to sell there, because again, certain products do better than others in different marketplaces.
Absolutely. Touching on point 3, ship and fulfill. So FBM, we talked about it. You have the capabilities of really, and we saw FBM come into play during the coronavirus, because what happened was Amazon was delaying a lot of the shipping times. So how FBM comes into play is you can have better shipping times through FBM, because now you're shipping directly to the customer as opposed to having Amazon shipped. You still get those orders from Amazon, but having that capability to do FBM and providing a better shipping time, 100% the customers are going to be able to convert a lot higher because they want their 2-day shipping, right? And they're always looking for that. So
Absolutely.
FBM, yeah, so FBM is always a good solution, but the core of the business is really FBA, right? It's really understanding how we can leverage FBA as really just shipping our products to Amazon, and then we handle the rest. We handle the optimizations. And by we, I mean either vendor or you as a seller. You got to make sure that you're on top of making sure that your inventory is arriving on time. If it's damaged, doing some reconciliation and understanding the fundamentals of how FBA works really works to your advantage, especially as Darren mentioned earlier. If you have Pan EU enabled on your account, that's going to allow you to ship even faster to your customer when you have when you have your goods distributed within Germany, within France, closer to the customer that's making that purchase. That's where FBA really is key to this strategy. So we definitely recommend, as a new seller, go FBA. It's the easiest way to go about the selling internationally, and you always get that Prime badge, right? Primes are always growing. The Prime membership club within Amazon is always growing, and Amazon is always looking at growing that club membership. So always take advantage of how many customers are already there, but also how much that customer group is growing over time.
Yeah, no, all great points.
Cool. And then the last slide I wanted to talk about is really managing your business. So when we, for instance, just from the vendor perspective, when we get new clients or when we negotiate new partnerships with new clients, we do an audit. And a lot of the times what we see is that these accounts are perhaps left, brands that have domestically are dominating the game and are perhaps doing amazing. What they've done in the past before we even start growing their international marketplaces, we do an audit, and this audit allows us to see how their preliminary setup, right? And a lot of these accounts are just set and forget. We don't do that at Vendo. At Vendo, we have a whole entire team driving analytics, driving advertising, driving optimizations, driving customer support. So, and the reason for that is because we know the opportunity is there. We know that the customer wants to hear back. If there's a seller question, we answer those seller questions because we got to make sure that our account healths, especially in all these marketplaces, are at 100%, right? If we keep that account health at 100%, Amazon is going to give us more love. They're going to know that we're here for the customer. We're selling the right product. We're attentive to the seller questions that are coming in and all that good stuff. So super important. That's why I wanted to sort of outline the customer inquiries, making sure you handle that. It's not a set and forget type of strategy. It's always making sure that every day you're in there, making sure that you're looking at all the traffic coming into your site, and for some reason, if something has gone wrong with your account, there's usually a little red flag on your account, and that tells you right away as a good indicator of, oh, hey, something's up. I gotta go check performance. And Amazon does a good job by giving you exactly, where they're seeing a bit of a trouble within your account. Aside from customer inquiries, now we're looking at daily revenue and week over week revenue performance. Super important. You want to make sure you're growing. If not, you want to make sure you're keeping a consistent sell-through, right? And look for those spikes. The coronavirus was able to present huge spikes, right? Especially in March and April. So understanding that and making sure that you understand that, for instance, for next year, obviously that won't be the case. So understanding that your revenue for March and April needs a new baseline, because that compared to what we're going through now, it's just it's different, right? It's a pandemic. It's one of those things that rarely happens. So it's making sure to understand those trends is really important as you grow your account.
Right.
In support of that, you also got to look at advertising. You got to make sure that your ACOS is good. You got to make sure that your total ACOS is good. That return on investment is going to pay off as you're driving brand awareness. So you really have to build it out. You will speak with, if you work with us at Vendo, you'll speak with the advertising manager, and what he'll do is really build out a plan in which, understanding what we've done in the past with current clients that have worked and perhaps new tools that Amazon is always releasing on the advertising side, we'll be able to put this together and build that strategy in order for us to get that learning, get those keywords that are driving conversion to your listing. So all in all, having that strategy also helps. And throwing a few dollars for your advertising is definitely, you'll see that that return right away, because the consumer behavior, again, in these different marketplaces are way different than what we see here domestically.
Right. And Geffen, who's our media buyer manager, he's been on some other of our podcast episodes, definitely can help you with some of this.
No, absolutely. Again, optimize your listings. We're always optimizing. Darren knows I'm always optimizing. I'm always A/B testing, and never sleeps. You never know what's going to convert a customer. And when you do know, given on your A/B testing results, you push forward with that test and you push forward with that strategy. And that's always been the case. We have tools at Vendo that allows us to quickly do an A/B test and survey an audience and get those results. So we're always learning from that data and also presenting that data to our clients so that we make sure that they're also growing and understanding what feedback we are receiving off of these A/B tests, so that it also helps them internally make other decisions that they perhaps never thought of. So it's really interesting what we're seeing across all these different international marketplaces. And I'm more excited about this because as Amazon starts, obviously they've taken over the world, but as they start taking a little bit more of the world, we'll start seeing more insights, more learnings, and what's really driving that conversion for different customers in different locations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, we talk about translations now, and on the previous slide, it also is very relevant when you're talking advertising, because once again, when you're looking at keywords and what long tail keywords and things to target, keep in mind the foreign language that you're targeting is very different, obviously, in terms of the word context and what you need to target to be successful.
No, absolutely. And then we look at new product launches. It's the strategy would be go with your hero items first. Don't launch your entire catalog. If you do launch your entire catalog, not understanding how consumer behavior, you might be sitting in inventory fees. Definitely not advisable. If you see a great momentum with certain items that you've launched and you want to start diving into different categories or perhaps different product segments, we can help you do that preliminary data using different tools. Helium 10 is a good tool. It gives you a lot of keyword research. Brand analytics is also a good tool. And now these different markets are having these different brand analytics is through Amazon. So now Amazon is releasing all these different tools to different marketplaces. So understanding that consumer behavior is definitely good before you launch a product. But yeah, that's that. And as far as participating on Amazon marketing opportunities, keep in mind that these different marketplaces are also running Prime Day, are also running, Black Friday, are also running other, aside from those heavy, I would say yearly events, you also have Lighten deals, you also have new deals, you also have coupons. A lot of the strategy that works already domestically, and you see a great momentum and a great return off of any of these marketing opportunities, feel free to, come to either us or come to, think about what's working well and domestically and just do it the same internationally, right? And then you'll see the same benefits and trust me and trust us. I mean, the consumer in Amazon is always looking for that deal. So if you're able to give them a little bit more of a value, they're definitely are going to be willing to convert at a higher rate versus just giving them, at an MSRP cost. So definitely we encourage as you start building your business, start looking into these different marketing opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a great marketing team at Vendo that can help you explore both on and off Amazon marketing opportunities, not just domestically, but also internationally. So good call out there.
No, absolutely. And like you said, Darren, protect your brand and sell more. That's what we do best here at Vendo. So I just, it was fun putting that together for our audience.
Yeah, it was awesome. A lot of dropping a lot of dangerous knowledge, as Raul likes to say. So really, Vinny, that was fantastic. Just before I break, because I know we're running on time here, you want to mention a couple of key takeaways from that, just the few basics?
Yeah, absolutely. Key takeaway, go to the Amazon, search Amazon Global Selling on Google. That will directly take you to the Amazon documentation. They'll give you everything there. They'll give you what marketplaces are launched, what category restrictions there are. They pretty much lay out everything for you. So read into that, take a deep dive. And then if you need help launching internationally, send us an email, hello@vendocommerce.com. Feel free to always send inquiries there. And by all means, reach us out at our socials, to our socials. We can always help. But most importantly, understand that there's, the e-commerce and the internet penetration is growing internationally. So take advantage of that.
And how can people reach you if they want to speak to Mr. Worldwide in person?
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead and type in Vinicio@vendocommerce.com. We'll make it so that it's Vinny@vendocommerce.com one of these days, but Vinicio, definitely.
No, we won't. Vinicio, I like that better. That's Vinicio. That's more international. That's little Vinicio, exactly. Gives you that Italian flavor, even with the Parisian background over there. So, yeah. But really, thanks, Vinny. That was awesome. As like you do with everything, that was very detailed, very thorough. I almost look at this as a webinar instead of a podcast with the amount of knowledge you gave on the EU. And I think coming episodes for us to tackle will be other marketplaces naturally, but also diving into the optimization, maybe even the advertising, bringing Geffen into the conversation with us and what works from that perspective. So again, thanks, Vinny, and thank our audience really for listening. You can subscribe on all the usual podcast channels and follow us. Go to our website, vendocommerce.com. Vinny did a great job plugging us throughout every one of those slides with all of our social channels and email addresses. And as always, everybody remember, protect your brand and sell more. All right. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks, Vinny.